Welcome to the High School Backups podcast here. This is episode number 2, and we're very excited to get into some of the topics today. We're dancing for reasons unbeknownst to ourselves, and we're just trying to vibe out. Tuesday nights can get any more sweeter when you got a podcast to them. So we got a few fun topics to talk about today. I'm trying to get our first real segment we're going to be doing on a weekly basis, which I'm real pumped for, and everyone but 2 people in this, call are pumped for. And we're
Well,
definitely gonna
I'm
get into
mostly
it.
pumped for it.
Okay, fine. 6.5 people or so, 7.5. So we're gonna definitely get into it. So let's get right into it today. Let's bring up kind of our list of topics we're gonna be going over. So first off, we're gonna get right into it. New England news. So one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about was directed specifically with the Celtics. They have been on a hot streak recently. They just lost their most recent game, which is kind of garbo. But regardless, they'd won like 13 out of the last 15 before that. Been on a hot streak. I think their ceilings like 2 seed. The basement could be 9-10 seed if they start choking really hard. But hope is they'll keep it up. So what else do you want to talk about?
I'm going straight into Patriots news. A lot of receiver news today, boys. We're talking Calvin Ridley trades. You're talking Chase Winovich in a second for Calvin Ridley. I don't care how long he's been away from the game. You pull that in 20 seconds. Patriots showed interest in Juju Smith-Schuster today, essentially just sharing a post and put up, "Oh yeah, he's been really good for us," was a quote from the Steelers for the Steelers GM. And then in draft news, the Patriots are looking at Jamison Williams, Treylon Burks, and Chris Olave. So, Patriots are looking to get a number one receiver, boys. I'm amped.
I'm all for Pages going for receiver, but I think I'm iffy with Calvin Ridley just because he stood away from. I'm really thinking his intentions on coming back, and he had one very successful year, and I feel like if we're giving up Chase Winovich a second round pick, and depending on the cap hit he could have, I hope it's worth the risk so that it's not like, oh, he just had a really good season like Juju. As much as I love Juju, he has had like 100-yard receiving game since the season he played with Antonio Brown. So I don't know. I think both of them. I hope that we don't have to pay a high price for them because I don't know. I don't know if I consider them true number ones.
To be fair, to give Juju a little bit more credit, he did have Ben Roethlisberger as his quarterback. That doesn't always help his capital.
Old Ben Roethlisberger. Old Ben Roethlisberger.
Old Ben Roethlisberger. So like, I'm not a Patriots fan, obviously, but like, I would still take Juju, especially with Mac Jones as the quarterback. Like, I don't know how you guys don't love that combo. Like, that's a deadly combo if that happens.
I like the idea of Juju as a receiver, but will he be able to withstand being within the Patriots' way? Being able to not have all these antics that he pulls?
No dancing.
Yeah, like no dancing and all that type of cringe stuff that he does field. Like that.
If he wants to win, he'll do it.
He's more into that TikTok game is being on that field sometimes. I just can't see him really being a true player to the Patriots way.
And I think I'm sure like a counter argument could be like, oh, we had Gronkowski on the team for a while. You know, we had big head receiver like Randy Moss for some time, but I feel like when you have someone who's so involved in social media, I feel like that's the exact kind of like he's posting all the time. He's on Instagram a lot. Like that kind of out of football activity is what Belichick hates. He hates social media. He never. I don't think he has any social media accounts. So I think.
So, all right, Steve, you can go again. Sorry, I just cut you off there. My bad, bud.
No, it's all good. I don't think he would fit in super well.
I see. That's where I disagree. Like, I think what it comes down to there is the difference in head coaching. I think Bill Belichick, that's something that he wouldn't tolerate, whereas Mike Tomlin does. But I think that's why it's not necessary.
But Mike Tomlin literally told Chase Claypool one time he was not playing music out of practice, and Claypool was very upset with that decision. So like,
What kind of music was he playing? Like it could have been.
But
Don't know.
just in general, he said he did not want music playing at all at his practices.
Wasn't that also after they lost badly though? Like
Still, like the fact that like Tomlin kind of has that mentality of I don't care, we should be a winning team. We have like I totally forgot how many Super Bowls they have, but it's still the fact that like they have that amount of Super Bowls, they've won so many that franchise. It's just that he wants to make sure that franchise stays alive that way without having any of these antics in practices and all this fooling around. Like that's what Bill wants. He wants players who are going to be able to do the Patriots way of being able to run through practices, not fool around, and just be able to play football.
I disagree to an extent though, because he's done that before with plenty of receivers to bring him in. Randy Moss is not just Randy Moss would be kind of like those guys are now. I don't think he'd be like Juju, but he'd definitely be, having fun on the sidelines doing his stuff, you know what I mean? And he did then. So, obviously he brought Antonio Brown in, that didn't work out, but he's not opposed to bringing in players if they're going to be worth it for him. Because any player that usually goes there usually gets in line with like whatever it is, but they don't usually like just take them and say they can't still have their personality, but they usually tone it down for Belichick. So I think that'll be fine. I think the bigger problem is we have to restructure how the team's going to look then if we're bringing in Juju and bringing in Calvin Ridley, because those guys are going to need money. They're worth more than what we've got now. So we have to get rid of like I think we have to ship out what if the second round and Winovich are what the Falcons want, then that we obviously pull that in a heartbeat. We've got Ridley. If you go for Juju as well, then you need to ship out like Aguilar and maybe Nikhil with him, and then now you're set because you got those two plus Bourne and somebody help me out with the other receiver.
Jacoby Myers.
Thank you, Myers, right?
And the two tight ends. Still have two tight ends.
Right. But I'm saying just receiving core. So
let me make one thing clear. I think you only need one or the other, and Calvin Ridley's still on a rookie deal. So if I'm Bill Belichick right now, I go and trade Winovich in a second round for Ridley, and I probably still pick a receiver in the first round, especially if
I'm
I'm
100% with you.
That's
100%
is a better deal.
Especially if I can get Jameson Williams.
What?
I'm still sending Aguilar out.
Ridley's in his third year. This was his third season, so he's
2
definitely
years.
played. He played in Bama with Jones, probably like when they were in practice and stuff, so they know each other. They've got to. Just having that little bit of that Alabama connection could help a little bit go along.
Kind of chasing the Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Really,
Yeah.
I want the Patriots to get a receiver, like a number one receiver, like in free agency, and spend some of the draft on on like athletic linebackers or really a strong safety, because we have really old linebackers. I would love to see the first round pick. I mean, I have to do some research myself, but I would love to see kind of a very fast middle linebacker that can cover, because we have our pass rushers out the side. That's great, but we need someone fast to be able to chase down somebody like Josh Allen, which is our biggest threat right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can get into the roster issues for the Patriots, and we could do a whole segment that gets a little bit closer to the draft.
Yeah.
The one thing is I'm 100% down for the second round pick in Winovich. I would also be willing to give a similar package for a Juju, maybe a Winovich and a third or fourth, or even Aguilar in a third or fourth. Like I'd be fine with that. But regardless, I think that's pretty clean. Jake, one last point.
Yeah, one last point. The Patriots already have that linebacker on the roster. His name's Cam McGrone. He was an underrated fifth-round pick last
And Josh
year.
Uche. Josh Uche is also nasty, so he's hurt.
Talking about inside linebackers right now, this kid Cam McGrone can play. He went to Michigan. He has some injury issues, past injury issues that kept him off the field his rookie season. But if you're looking at speed at linebacker, Cam McGrone's got it.
Yeah, Dante Hightower is probably gone. Dante Hightower is probably gone. He doesn't
I
fit
think
the
he-
So is
current.
Van Noy. I really don't think we'll sign.
No, Van Noy's a nasty edge rusher. I don't think you get rid of him. Honestly, I think he fits perfectly. We need some sort of veteran back there because McCourty's gone soon. So yes, well, That's a whole other.
If you guys don't want Vinoy, I'll take Vinoy on the Giants any day of the week. So
Yeah.
Andrew, if you want to get rid of Vinoy, he can come to New York all day long.
3 and 4.
I'll take
would
Sterling
take-
He can go
Shepard for
5-12 with
Vinoy.
you guys.
Deal.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
that. I do that trade in a heartbeat.
Okay, so moving on to the next one, probably a shorter topic here, because truthfully, there's really no details around it. So today, the MLB and the Players Union did not come to an agreement. Today was the deadline in order to officially reach the start of the season time, meaning that there will be some sort of delay. So the question is, how much of a delay? So I personally have a strong suspicion it's going to go to at least May, if not June. I do think that is long, but I have a strong suspicion that the players aren't going to budge and the owners really aren't going to budge. So
I'll say the MLB got a lot closer over the past 9 days than they had been. In the end, it still came to nothing. I know they put the deadline early today. They put it to 5 o'clock, came back again, and didn't get to an agreement. The Players Association is much higher on a lot of the numbers they want versus what the owners are willing to do. I know it was something with the what was it? The players wanted $80 million in the arbitrations, and then go up $5 million each year. The MLB went from $25 million to $30 million, saying they would start with that. So they did come up, but they didn't come up nearly, obviously, enough for the players, and there was a bunch of other things as well. So I think they're going back and they'll reconvene, and I think it's like a week or so, 2 weeks, something like that. They're going back to establish when they're going to come back and meet again with a new deal from each side. So we'll see where that goes. I'm still hoping that we do have the MLB. I know me and Kyle may be the only ones that really care about the MLB on this podcast, but I know for me,
I do too. I'm all over it.
Okay. I do know for me, like, growing up, I had my grandfather who was friends with the Yankees team doctor, so we got to go to his box. So I grew up going to, like, Yankees games a bunch of times throughout the summer. And so for me, it's like a summer tradition to just have baseball and have it there and watch it. So I really hope we do get it. But I think right now they're going to miss a few games, which will be the first time in history. So that's big for them. But I think I think they'll get it, maybe mid to late April. I think we'll be having an MLB season, if not sooner, I'm hoping. But we'll see. I'm surprised the owners haven't budged yet.
I think we're looking at a year without baseball, boys. On the opposite end of that, I don't think they play. I don't think they play at all. The MLB and the MLBPA are they're separated. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum right now. Quite like me and Austin are, where I'm saying no season, he's saying we'll get it by April. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I do love me the Red Sox. And I mean, I just don't see a world where this gets done anytime soon.
I'm with you, Jake. I really don't see if there's be anything. I don't think it would happen before July. Realistically, I think, like you were saying, the owners and the players are just so far apart. There really, realistically, isn't agreement that's coming soon. I do agree with you there that it will be like a season without baseball, which just won't feel the same.
I'm with Kyle and Jake. The best, I don't go to baseball games very often. It's more of a Fenway thing for me that makes it kind of for Boston itself. If you really want to see baseball, at least, I always used to go to Manchester for Fisher Cats. It's not as good because it's not like the whole Boston Red Sox, but it's still baseball and it still has a little bit of baseball vibes.
And you can chirp at the players too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. I'm sure we'll talk about it. Hopefully we'll get a new deal and we can get excited about it. We're going to move on to some more fun topics here. So the rest for the next two, at least, I think we're going to have some fun here. So we're going to play a little game we're going to call Who Starts Where. So we're going to bring up 13. It was originally 12. Now it's 13 teams who we are each going to, I guess, decide who we think is going to be the starting quarterback there. We're going to go through each one by one and kind of make that our guesses, I guess. This is a topic I've seen a few other places, so this is going to be fun to kind of go through. So let me pull that up real quick so that we can take a look. So we have 13 teams here, excuse me. that we are going to be looking at. Now, of those 13 teams, we're going to go one by one. We're not going to get too in detail. We're just going to decide who do we think is going to be the starter next year. So I will start. We're just going to go top left in order, like reading a book here. So Buccaneers, I am 100% convinced that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to the Buccaneers. I think that the 49ers will have no choice but to get rid of him because of other reasons. So whoever wants to go first, let's go. Andrew's at the top of the screen. Start the Bucks.
I have to agree with you, Jimmy G. That's
Nice.
would be a good one.
Austin, we'll go in alphabetical order.
All right. So I think the Bucks. I think they might take a swing at somebody in the draft. We'll see what if Jimmy G's available. I think they look at him, but I still think Brady might be coming back. So we'll see what happens. I think he's gonna pull a Jordan. He's gonna come back, and he's just gonna skip until right before the season and come back in. But we'll see. We'll see. I think if he comes back, he's going back to the Bucks. I don't think he's going anywhere else. So.
I don't think there's going to be a quarterback NFL ready available for them with their draft pick, or else I would say they draft somebody. But honestly, it's looking like Jimmy G. I know that they've expressed strong interest in Jimmy G. I also think there's a possibility you see a Jameis Winston reconnection in Tampa Bay, but my brain is telling me Jimmy G.
I could either see another Patriots such as Brissett or Jimmy G because they're used to Brady history now.
Actually, not a bad take, Justin. I was expecting you to say something. Like, I thought you were going to say something kind of copy what Austin said. That was actually a really good take there. But Jake stole the words right from under my mouth. I was thinking a Jameis reconnection in Tampa Bay.
Honestly, a Jameis reunion, I don't know. I mean, he got eye surgery, which I think is a good thing. So hopefully he'll see who he's throwing to that isn't defensive back. But gotta give it to Jimmy G. He's coachable, good leader. They have a really good offensive line, so they can protect him. So I think Jimmy G.
Yeah, I just think he fits well. So coming to one that could go many of directions. So the Seahawks and Russell Wilson in his interesting situation. Now, as much as I would love to him, and we've discussed this previously for him to come to the Patriots, I do think the Patriots are stuck on Mac Jones, and not in a bad way. So therefore, I do think Russell Wilson will go to a team such as either the Bears or the Steelers, which leaves the Seahawks in a weird situation. And truth be told, they're kind of in a position where I think it makes sense to draft a QB and kind of reset a little. So especially with DK being so young, I do have a feeling Pete Carroll's probably going to be out of there sooner rather than later. So I'm going to go with a high draft pick. I'll probably say Kenny Pickett, to be honest, just because he's probably highest. Maybe they do a trade up for him and whatnot. But they're probably going to draft one, and it could very well be Kenny Pickett.
I got two options that I think they might go with. I feel like since Marcus Mariota's contract with the Raiders is up, they could potentially take Marcus Mariota. He's had some really great seasons with the Titans. Filled in for Derek Carr pretty well. When Carr went out with an injury, I think like 2 seasons ago. And I could also see them going with a high draft pick with Kenny Pickett. I mean, man has shown really great potential to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he goes back to Seahawks. I think they re-sign Russ, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I think Russ is back in Seattle for at least one more year.
So let's make one thing clear. Russell Wilson's deal is not up in Seattle. It's going to cost... No, it's going to cost an arm and a leg for any team to trade for him. The only team that has the assets would be the Eagles, and I don't see them moving off of Jalen Hurts and 3 first-round picks when their team isn't ready to win now anyway. Going to be Russell Wilson. You could see somebody like Denver trading, but it's going to mortgage their next 4 years because they'll ask for 4 first-round picks. So I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson is in Seattle.
It's a hard one because, like, as Jake was saying, because of the thing, I would almost want to say Joe Flacco, but like but everyone hates the Jets right now, so I don't think so.
I'm thinking really outside the box one here. So I do think Russell Wilson is going to get traded. We'll get to that when we get to the team, and because they are up here. So I do think he'll be traded to a team that we're going to talk about. But I don't think they're going to draft anyone this year. I think that means they're going to ride with the QB that's already on their roster. So I think the Seahawks are going with Geno Smith. They're going to ride and try and go for a top 5 draft pick next year.
Honestly, it makes no sense to trade Russell Wilson because the reason why they're relevant in any way, shape, or form is because of Russell Wilson. That Legion of Boom, their defense has gone down ever since. If I'm correct, the worst secondaries last year. So I think they're gonna fight to keep. I honestly think it would be dumb for them to not keep Russell Wilson. So I think it's gonna be Russell Wilson because the Seahawks, I think, understand the dire situation of we're really nothing without him because no teams want to give up stuff for him, and he's the reason why we're considered a playoff team. So it's gonna be Russell Wilson. It would be silly of the Seahawks to not make an attempt to keep him.
Disagree, Steve. Think it's time for them to back up a little bit. So I guess we'll see. I think this one's going to be a pretty quick one. Giants, Mitch Trubisky. There's no other right answer. Daniel Jones is dog. And therefore, I firmly believe that Mitch Trubisky will ride them to a 7-win season. 2 more than Daniel Jones could ever bring him to. So, Mitch Trubisky.
Kyle, do you hold your hoops for you?
I mean, I would say if the Seahawks don't take Marcus Mariota, if that's the case, I'd say Marcus Mariota to the Giants. Man needs to have another start.
I think that they might just stick with Daniel Jones because they're not going to have a lot of options for him. Try to go less than 5-12 or at least 5-12 again so they can get a high draft pick and maybe get a better quarterback than that Walmart cashier they have over there. So, we'll just see how it goes. But I think he stays, and if not, I mean, there's nobody else really, so maybe they could get Flacco.
Oh my God.
Side note, there actually was a former grocery bagger by the name of Kurt Warner who did play for the Giants at one point.
This is true. This is true.
As a movie.
They stick with Daniel Jones. There's no option but sticking with Daniel Jones for right now. There's no trade partners for Daniel Jones because he's kind of awful. But yeah, it's gonna be DJ.
Sorry, Kyle. I think you're stuck with Daniel Jones another couple of years.
He wants it.
So I do love Daniel Jones, but I do think Daniel Jones' time in New York is expiring. But I do think that they're going to draft a QB this year, one who is extremely mobile, and I'm extremely excited for him to come to the Giants. I am going to buy a Malik Willis jersey as soon as he gets drafted because he will be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants this coming year. Malik Willis, gentlemen, it's happening. Calling it now.
Should have gone with Cincinnati's.
Yeah. I mean, I got to give it to, I'm sounding like a broken record, but yeah, Daniel Jones, if he was any better than the bottom of a dirty trash can, I think they could get some serious offers for him. And maybe get in like their really high first round picks. Here's the interesting thing though. I think honestly, I'm gonna take a big swing here, and I'm gonna say they're gonna take Daniel Jones, their really high first round draft picks, and then I think they'll throw in like, I don't know, Daniel Jones in there, maybe like Sterling Shepard. I think they're gonna go for Aaron Rodgers. Because I think Aaron Rodgers would love to play in a really crappy division with an overrated Dallas Cowboys team, because they have a pretty good wide receiving core. Darius Slayton kind of picking it up a little bit, and those 2 first-round picks that they have, I think those can definitely seem attractive to Green Bay to use that to get a first-round QB. So honestly, I'm gonna take a big swing and say they're gonna go for Aaron Rodgers.
That's that's fun.
Before we move on to the Packers, I just want to clarify that will probably not happen due to the fact the Giants have 0 talent on that offensive line.
And
so
they're in the NFC. And they're in the NFC.
They desperately need at least one of those picks, Steve, to draft an offensive lineman. But other than
They need
that,
like
I just
6
think it's
offensive
pretty
linemen. They need a whole revamp. So
they need 20. Their whole team sucks.
So we're gonna go through. We're gonna do the next 5. We'll do 2 sets of 5 here, make it a little bit quicker. So Green Bay, Jordan Love. That's simple. Aaron Rodgers is gone. I'll explain that later. Steelers, still Russell Wilson, still my guess. They have plenty of assets, so that's all I'm saying. They have like 6 good wide receivers, so that's all I'm saying. San Fran, Trey Lance, simple. Jalen Hurts for the Eagles, although that is an interesting one. For the Saints, which is where I'll start for this section. Oh God, I don't really have a good answer. God, it's gonna be Taysom Hill, and it's gonna look awful, and they're gonna have to draft a QB or something, but probably Taysom Hill. So.
Definitely Jordan Love with the Rodgers situation. Steelers, I'm gonna have to go Dwayne Haskins on this one. Been a backup. I think he knows that system well enough that he could do it. 49ers, definitely gonna be Trey Lance. Eagles, definitely Jalen Hurts. Saints, I think they run another year with Jameis Winston. Drop Taysom Hill, run with Ian Book as a backup.
Yeah, I think Rodgers might come back. If not, I think he's going to someone like the Broncos. So I could see them making a play. I mean, I definitely think the Broncos are going to make a strong play for Rodgers. And we'll see how that works out for them. I think the Steelers, honestly, I loved that take of Dwayne Haskins. I think they definitely at least try him for a year. He has the talent to be a good quarterback. I just don't know if his head will stay there, but if he could keep his head on, I think he's got more than enough talent to be a good enough starting quarterback. I think Trey Lance is starting this year. I think they're finally ready to pull that trigger and see what he's got. Jimmy G's probably gone to somewhere. And then I could see Jimmy G maybe even going to like someone like the Colts if they're done with Carson Wentz. So that's not a bad place for him to go. And then you've got the Eagles. There's no reason not to stay with Hurts. I mean, you got to the playoffs. You got to give him another year for sure. And I think he's good enough to be a starting quarterback.
All right. Let's make one thing clear. Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere unless he retires. So it'll be either Rodgers or Love. And Rodgers will either retire a Packer or play football for the Green Bay Packers. Pittsburgh Steelers will be starting rookie quarterback Matt Corral, who they'll draft with the 21st overall pick. The San Francisco 49ers are starting Trey Lance. It's not that difficult. The Eagles will be starting Jalen Hurts. The Saints will be starting Mitchell Trubisky.
So I was actually just looking this up too. Aaron Rodgers has not declared if he is retiring yet, so he could definitely stay with the Green Bay. It definitely is harder for me to say about the rest of the teams. Jimmy G could stay with San Francisco because he did do okay this season. Looking at the other teams, I'm not, unfortunately, too sure about the rest.
I do think Aaron Rodgers will retire a Packer. So the Packers also have no faith in Jordan Love being their starting quarterback. So Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere unless it's for 10 first-round picks. So that's not happening. Steelers, I think Russell Wilson will go to the Steelers. I think he just wants a new scenery. So I think going to Pittsburgh that has a great wide receiving core and who's going to be an amazing sophomore running back in Najee Harris too. So I think he has I think Pittsburgh's a good landing spot for him. San Francisco's a little bit tricky because the players love Jimmy G, but I think ownership is ready to start fresh with Trey Lance. So I do think they end up starting Trey Lance in San Francisco. Um, Although it won't be to a lot of the players do still want Jimmy G there. Eagles, it's easily going to be Jalen Hurts. There's no reason for them to get rid of Jalen Hurts. The Saints are going to go with Mariota. I think he's going to be one of the decent free agent quarterbacks that's on the market that the Saints can snag up.
Throw some hot takes here. I'm going to say, yeah, Green Bay, when they trade Aaron Rodgers to the Giants, they're going to kind of figure out, all right, what are we going to do? Mitchell Trubisky? No, not really feeling him. It's going to be, I'm thinking they're going to pick up Marcus Mariota. I believe Marcus Mariota maybe have an off year and then use maybe some draft capital to get a quarterback the following year. So take like a year off. I think they just need a year just to breathe after Aaron Rodgers' lovely habits. Steelers, I think the Steelers are gonna take a big swing and go for Jameis Winston. I think of available quarterbacks, I think especially under, a very good coach like Tomlin, I think that's a very good place for him to go. He has a lot of receivers that he can work with. He has a rookie tight end and a really good running back he can work with. And he also has a defense that can really lock down when he inevitably throws at least one pick a game. 49ers, Trey Lance, we all know that. Eagles, Jalen Hurts, like, he hasn't shown enough we need to get rid of him. So I think, he can run, he can throw. It's a very winnable division for sure, so they got that. And the Saints, I think the Saints are going to make a huge mistake and stick with Taysom Hill for some reason, where he should really just be a backup gadget guy.
Okay, here comes the fun ones for me. I'm gonna have 4 surprises and 1 regular one. Well, not necessarily 4 surprises. Okay, we're gonna rapid fire this a little bit. Washington, 100% Teddy Bridgewater. I think he fits in perfectly there with that system. I also think he's a better Taylor Heineke and more accurate, and I do think that he's going to fit in pretty good there. So I think Teddy Bridgewater goes over to Washington. I think that the Colts take on Taylor Heineke at that point. I do think he comes over, and he is a bridge year quarterback for them because Carson Wentz's system is over there. The Browns stick with Baker Mayfield. He's going to stay there for 1 more year, play out his rookie contract, and we'll see how he plays. The Broncos are going to get Aaron Rodgers, like we talked about, and the Panthers are going to pick up Carson Wentz, and I think at that point, as a backup, I think they either pick up a Jameis Winston or something like that as a possible backup to see who can win that job with an upgrade from Cam Newton versus Sam Darnold. So I think it's going to be a nice little war there over in Carolina with Carson Wentz taking the job. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting.
Washington, they're going to run it out with Taylor Heineke. Man proved to the whole entire league that he can play and start. Colts, they're going to re-sign Wentz. There's no way they wouldn't. Browns, Baker Mayfield, they're going to run him out. And he had just 1 bad season. It's not like it's just that there was so much conflict going on with the Browns. Broncos, Aaron Rodgers. Panthers. I think they're going to draft a QB. I don't know which one yet, but it's definitely looking like they're going to draft because Sam Darnold, even though he got injured, he proved a little bit, but then he kind of fell off. And then they brought Cam in, proved that he could start. Then he fell off. So I think they're going to have to.
All right, so these will be some fun ones. Washington. That's going to be interesting. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to be looking around for one of them. I could see them making a play for Jameis Winston to bring in some big arm talent. So I think they either re-sign Heineke or they get Jameis, or they do both and keep Heineke as a solid QB2. I think the Colts move on from Carson Wentz. I think they're going to be also in play for Jameis Winston. I think he's going to have a lot of teams that are going to be looking at him, seeing how he was able to turn around his career with the Saints. As provided he's healthy, we'll see how he does. But if he's looking real healthy for it, I think he's good. And then I think for the Browns, I think they re-sign, or they don't re-sign Baker, but they leave him there for the rest of this year to see if he can pull it together in time for his contract year. I think the Broncos are going to make a play at Aaron Rodgers to see if they can get him to come play with them. And then if that doesn't happen, I think this is where it gets fun. I think they bring in either Carson Wentz or they bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick just to run for a year. I think that would be really funny to watch. I think that'd be fun. I think he would have great first 6 weeks, and then it would be downhill from there. But and then I think in Carolina there will be some backup QB battle with like Teddy Bridgewater and Tyrod Taylor or something like that, which would be kind of funny to watch.
All right. The Washington Commanders will be picking Malik Willis 11th overall. He will start for that football team. The Colts and the Panthers are going to swap quarterbacks. Wentz is going to the Panthers. Sam Darnold will be a Colt by April. And they'll sign Marcus Mariota and have a quarterback battle over there. The Browns are going to stick with Baker. There's no reason not to. He's in his last year of his contract. They can do what they want with him after that. The Broncos will be picking up Kenny Pickett with the 9th overall pick, and he'll be starting for them. And the Panthers, like I just said, are going to be trading for Wentz, and he'll be brought in to have a quarterback battle with the Harvard legend Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'm with everyone else on Heineke. On Washington, Baker Mayfield as well. He's got his little, I don't think it's State Farm, but he's got some commercials.
Hulu, I think, is one of them.
No, I think
Hulu,
it's
that's
progressive.
I think
Is it progressive?
Hulu and
It is
Hulu
progressive.
and
It's the one where he drops
Farmers.
his keys through
Farmers.
the gate.
Wait,
Yeah,
what is
he,
that?
I think it is Farmers. but-
Farmers. Yeah, I think it's Farmers.
Yeah, that's
Sponsor
it.
us.
Farmers.
I'm not sure about
Sponsor us.
Carolina since that's all I know.
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. I know Cam Newton's such an oddball, like, cause he got like shutted out by Mac Jones.
Whoa, why are you throwing shade at Mac Jones?
I'm not throwing shade at Mac Jones. Mac
He
Jones
wasn't. He
outperformed Cam
said
Newton.
he was
with that.
praising him because Cam Newton got shaded out by him. He lost his starting job to Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Mac
Kyle.
Mac Jones is a million times better, so that was
yeah.
obvious. Washington Commanders. I think they're going to draft a quarterback, but I don't think it's going to be Kenny Pickett. So I think they're going to go with there. Indy is sticking with Carson Wentz. I don't think they're going to need to give him up. He did fine. They have the number 1 running back in their league. They have everything going for them right now.
Number
so.
2. Number 1 was hurt.
What? Okay, number 1. That's an argument for
Number 2
for another day. Browns are sticking with Baker. This is the one where I think so. Denver needs to compete with the 3 other teams in their division who have star quarterbacks. There's obviously no comparison to Patrick Mahomes. He's the number 1 quarterback in the league. Justin Herbert is obviously up there. So, and then Derek Carr is up there as well. Top 15 quarterback in the league. So Denver really needs a star quarterback if they're going to compete in that division. And the one who I think they're going after is Jimmy G. Jimmy G brings them a lot of star talent right there behind that O-line. So I think Jimmy G is going to go for Denver, not Aaron Rodgers. And in Carolina, I think they're just going to stick with Sam Darnold. They're going to tank so they can get a top 3 pick next year and draft a quarterback in next year's draft, which is looking to be a little bit more QB heavy.
All right, I think the Commanders are gonna, I kind of bounce around with this one, but I see them picking up both Cam Newton and Mitchell Trubisky. I kind of see a quarterback battle playing out there because Washington really doesn't know what they are offensively. And I think they're just like, all right, let's get a guy who can run really fast and can kind of throw, and then a guy who really can't throw, but he can run pretty well and has really good style. I don't know. I just think Washington not really know their identity on offense. I kind of see them picking both of them to kind of see what their options are. The Colts, Carson Wentz had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and had almost 100 passer rating. Yeah, he choked near the end, but I think it's worth they keep Carson Wentz and try to get probably a really good receiver or a younger tight end just to give better pieces for Carson Wentz to throw to. The Browns, you got to keep Baker Mayfield. I mean, if they want to give him a 5th-year option or give him an extension, build up some capital, and use him for a big trade the following year, I would think that's a great idea. But keep Baker. He was hurt last year, and as long as your running backs carry the team, he only has to throw 3 times a game. He'll give you 3 pretty good throws. Broncos, it's really tough, and I like bouncing around with this, but I think they're going to try to go for Rodgers. I think they're going to try to go for Russell Wilson. I don't think it's going to work. It's going to be really, really hard to kind of pick those guys up. And I think after a long and hard and awful trade battle, eventually they're going to, all right, let's screw it. We're going to sign Teddy Bridgewater back. Because despite, their record, Teddy Bridgewater completed 70% of his throws. And if they can maybe kind of lock it down and become like a run-first offense, play action, so that they don't have to put the game on Teddy Bridgewater's shoulders, they can. But I think after a long trade battle, they're just going to be exhausted and just kind of go for their most convenient option. Panthers, I think they sign Ryan Fitzpatrick and have him and Sam Darnold duke it out, where Fitzpatrick's going to start, have 2 really good games, and then it's going to go back and forth. And they're eventually going to tank because Carolina, there's not much they can really do.
Yeah, so there's some important points I'll note before we move on. Colts management has already said they want to move on from Carson Wentz, so that's a big deal. So I do not see him being their quarterback next year. The Broncos will not settle for average a 2nd year in a row, so they're either going to go for it all or deal with Drew Lock just to get a better draft pick next year. That's what's going to happen.
Are you saying that Jimmy G is an average? Is that why you were...
He's not a star.
Is that or you just...
Yeah,
I'm average.
Yes, I would say Jimmy G. If you're going to do a top 15, he's somewhere in the 6 to 10 range, but Teddy Bridgewater is somewhere in the 10 to 15 range. So he could maybe win you a championship, but Teddy Bridgewater's like 15. When Teddy Bridgewater's healthy, he's nasty. Whatever, Jake. Sam. Anyways, Sam Darnold will not be the quarterback of the Panthers. He was out, or
Yeah.
Damn it. He was straight garbage. So, anyways, moving on to the next subject. So we're gonna go ahead here and check next on the board. Okay, we're gonna make this one quick. Options besides the Pro Bowl, I think we've all talked about a little bit. Let's get some 1 seed versus or 1 pick versus 2 pick for the number 1 overall pick stuff going on here. Let's make it mean something. I really think that's kind of what we all decided. So if anyone wants to jump in real quick before we move on.
I still want the XFL to be able to play against the worst team and get pulled up.
No, that'd be
the worst team
Yeah.
down.
Going back to what I said last week and have the best XFL team play the worst NFL team.
PR nightmare. PR nightmare.
Wait. What if it was a New York team from the XFL playing up against like a Florida team from the NFL? Like,
Who cares?
Relocate.
Who cares?
Oh my god, it'd be awful. Okay. Anyways,
I just think we need something like
New
that,
York
something
teams in the
ridiculous.
NFL? That's already bad enough.
It'll make
We
it so much. It'll make it so much more fun. You get to realign the divisions every year. It'll be wonderful.
oh
You know,
no,
how about this? We'll just let Alabama play the worst team every year and see if they're worse than a college team.
they are.
Oh,
That's
I
the
would love to
issue.
see that. I mean,
Okay.
this game has to have some weight to it, or just something really crazy. Because if they don't come with anything else, I think they should just stop doing the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl.
All right, no pads.
Leather helmets. Leather helmets.
No
Leather
clothes,
helmets, no pads.
all natural.
NFL plays rugby.
Deflated
Oh,
balls.
no.
I was like 7-on-7 youth football where they have.
Just do flag
pads.
football. F it. Just go full safe.
Now let's get a full
Flag
mascot.
football
for
has more
children
tackling
game
than what they're
instead.
doing in the
I'd rather watch some high school football play in the Pro Bowl than these professionals literally just patting you on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh,
awful.
I bet you're out.
Yeah, so I'm
give me
moving on to something
mascots
else that's
for children.
awful.
Hold on,
These
hold on.
OT rules.
Steve was finishing something.
Okay, go for it, Steve.
Oh, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the highlights of mascots going up against children like in halftime games.
I would love that.
Like,
Oh,
if I could
God.
get a Colts, if I could get the
Gritty.
Colts mascot
Full Gritty
standing
from the
over kids
NFL
and
game.
shoving them, like, of course I would watch that. I would rather watch the Pro Bowl because like the Pro
Most
Bowl
entertaining
sucks.
game of the year.
This is where Justin will insert a clip or a picture of it because I know for a fact the Colts did it because it is
Yup.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Moving on quickly to the OT rules. I think it's as simple as both teams should get at least one chance to touch the ball. If one team scores a touchdown or a field goal, the other team should get to touch the ball once. If they don't score, they don't score. If they match the same score, then it goes on. That's the simple part to me. Is that
But like,
Okay.
how long can we let that go on for? Like, I just don't want it to end up being like an eight times where we're watching them just go back and forth. I'd rather watch it where it goes down to where, because the kickers aren't usually relied on as much. I'd rather watch if both teams score on a possession where it's like a touchdown, then it's like your kickers have to now start doing a field goal shootout.
I was kind of thinking of that. I was thinking like you just move it back 10 yards or 5 yards if they keep getting it.
How many times is a game usually relied on a kicker nowadays?
I mean, the
That's
entire
actually quite a
the
few.
last
playoffs was relied on them. I would like to watch a kicker versus a kicker in a field goal kickoff.
Okay, I've got the.
Okay, you're kind of
simplest
biased because
solution
you're a
here.
soccer fan, though.
The simplest solution is just have them play an extra quarter and be done with it. You play another 15 minutes and it's over. Like, they do it anyway if you're going to get a tie, so you may as well just let them play the entire quarter, have some really exciting football with 2 minutes left because the game's probably going to be close, and everybody gets an extra quarter of football. It's a win-win.
What about with playoffs though?
Nah, let them play the extra quarter.
I mean, I think either way, I think it's fair that both teams get a chance because, I mean, yeah, a lot of these games are decided because one offense touched the ball first. That's literally it. Granted, I mean, you have a counter argument. You get like Cincinnati, which did not have as good of a defense as the Bills, and first throw or second throw picked off Patrick Mahomes. But I don't know. I like both teams getting a chance to touch the ball and get a touchdown, and then from then on, it's next score wins. But I think it's because it's very possible for, a turnover to happen or something kind of get messed up. But I do kind of like each team getting at least one chance. But I don't know if they're going to change it.
I think the most. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I think it might be. I could even see it being like in the playoffs, or only in the playoffs they allow the first team. They allow both teams because there's more on the line. Like in the regular season, like, when that overtime 10 period or whatever, I think it's 15-minute or 10-minute period ends, they can end in a tie and that's it. And so the last touchdowns just get done, be done with the game. But with the playoffs, I kind of think because there's so much, it's a one and done kind of situation. I think at least changing the rule for the playoffs so that both teams get a chance, I think would be a good move going forward.
I just think the most likely they're going to do, I think they'll change it at some point, and I think they're going to go to where you choose, whoever wins the coin flip picks whether they want offense or defense, and then the other team gets to choose where on the field it starts from.
They tested that in the Pro Bowl. It was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it did work a lot. I know that's actually what the Ravens wanted to do. So I could see that happening as the soonest change. I don't know if it'll ever change to anything else other than that, but I think if they change the OT rules, it's going to be just something like that. I think if you do that, I think there should be 2 possessions still, because I would love to have the 2 possessions, and then whoever scores the most points out of that. But I guess that kind of defeats the purpose. So they'll probably do 1 possession, flip the coin, one team gets the offense or defense, and then they choose where they go from there. And we'll see what happens. But I think that's the most logical one that they're going to do. Otherwise, I think you should do the whole 15 minutes and then have a penalty shootout, or I should say a field goal shootout. I hate ties. I think they're stupid. So just get rid of the ties by having the kickoff at the end if you go all 15 minutes extra, which I highly doubt there'd be that many games that do that. So
Justin Tucker for the win. So he'd obviously win all of them. NFL record.
I want
I'm saying
want the
kickers
NFL
need more
to do
value
all-
on their name.
kickers are already valuable though. Look at how many teams.
Not as high draft picks. Would you rather have
no one's ever gonna
I'd
draft
rather-
him high no matter what.
I would have
Kickers are
drafted
one of the
Evan
most
McPherson round 1. Evan McPherson for the W, dude. That dude's nasty.
Yeah.
That dude's nasty. He walked out and said, "Yeah, I won the game." Like literally walked out before he kicked the field goal 3 times. Said, "Yeah, game over. Enjoy your win. Enjoy your win, Joe."
Okay, yeah, well, he was the one who was knocking caps off the top of the goalpost from a Gatorade bottle. Like that's
what
insane.
I'm saying. That's
But
what
they're
I'm
still
saying.
not worth
Look at all-
it, Andrew.
Look at all these kickers. You rely on them to win the games in the last second. That is a lot of pressure on them.
All right,
Yeah, and
that
you
is
rely on
not
quarterbacks to
professional
make the last
athletes.
second throw as well. So I mean,
Okay,
I'm
but
not
a
saying that they're
quarterback
not
does
winning.
that almost the whole game.
Yeah, and I'd rely on a right guard, but of course Joe
quarterbacks don't
Burrow
throw the
couldn't.
ball. Well,
Yeah. He couldn't rely on 2 offensive linemen. Well, actually, all of them, but especially
How
on the
about
right
this?
side.
All right, now overtime rules. Scrap everything. The 2 players from either side from each team. Let's say like you pick 2 players to fist fight each other. So you have like the
Okay,
defensive
okay.
No. You do the what's the drill where they lie on their back, and then they
Oh,
turn
the
up
Oklahoma drill.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Oklahoma drill. That's what you do to end it.
Dude,
That's
I
what
think they're
could
gonna
you
win
imagine
every
seeing
game.
Donald versus like Quentin Nelson? That would be
That'd be
amazing.
huge.
I would take TJ versus JJ all day. See who
Oh.
wins
Oh.
that.
See,
The
look
brothers.
how awesome this would be.
Oh, okay. Anyways, moving on to
Well, and
our
like,
second to last piece.
These sound like halftime show kind of things.
Oh yeah, there's something. So a little
They
bit
should
of
have
an
this in Hobo.
intro. We did hear from a few viewers here. You know who you are. That we wanted to hear some March Madness news here. So there's not a lot to go off of. Seeding happens in the next couple weeks, with championships happening next couple weeks. One piece of important news, and we can talk about how relevant this is or not. All top 6 seeds lost on the same day, and 7 of the top 10 lost in the same day, which is outrageous that happened. So, any thoughts on that?
It just
Hot
means
take.
that college basketball is back, baby. Fans are in the stands, and I am hyped for March Madness this year. Let's go.
I'm excited to do our March Madness brackets. I'm super pumped for doing that. Hot
We will be
take
doing
is
that
not
as a
good.
segment for sure. So
We're going to be doing a whole episode, I think, about it. 1 week, I think, is going to be all of us, and we all have different ranges of knowledge about March Madness. So,
Which
I don't care how
have
we do it.
none.
and that's perfect because we're going to have highly, I'm like in the middle. We're going to have people who really know what they're talking about it, and then we're going to score that junk at the end. We're going to score it and show where we end. So,
Just remember,
I'm
the
gonna-
12 always upsets the 5.
except what was it 2
No,
years
they
ago?
all-
They didn't upset
They
at
go
all.
to Chicago if they make it in. It's gonna upset everybody again.
Going back to this, I actually just think that you're seeing a lot of parity in college basketball because of the one and done rule. So with people coming in and not being able to stay, you have a lot of talent turning around all the time. So these teams aren't necessarily as used to playing with each other, especially at the beginning of the year. So when you have senior teams that have a lot of guys that have been around for a while, they end up rising to the top like Creighton did a while back. And some of these teams like Duke and Kentucky end up getting left behind because they have a bunch of freshmen that are doing one and dones. I actually think it's a good thing for college basketball. Just gonna put that out there.
Hot take.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
Hot take: Providence College is winning the tournament this year. Done deal. Done deal.
They losing to UConn both times. They're
The
gonna lose to
Big East
UConn
has
both
been
times.
on fire.
See, what I love the most.
BC's winning it
It's been
this
on
year.
fire.
What I love the most about
Happening.
March Madness is how quick. I mean, we talk about how like the number 1 seeds, like number 1 teams, all losing the same day. That just kind of goes to show how like you could do so much research into what teams you want to win for March Madness. They have computer simulations that don't even get it right. I once read a statistic: you're more likely to win the lottery 7 times than March Madness, and I think it goes to show with a one and done tournament, teams can have a bad day. Like, you know, if we were to go look at any sort of game, like, oh, this team should have won that game. It's
They
it's
all
because
play at
yeah,
different times though too. That's the one thing. It's not they're not used to playing during the night like during the regular season. They could be playing at like 2 in the afternoon instead of 7 o'clock at night that they're used to. So it's like that's also
Oh, yeah.
a factor. So it's like
and
I
the
will-
players
yeah.
are fairly young. These guys are fairly
Yeah.
young.
The
and-
crazy thing is now they're younger than us.
Yeah,
Oh,
by
don't
like
even-
4
Why
years.
would you say that, Justin?
By
Are
like
you
4
kidding
years,
me?
5 years.
Why you gotta say that? We're old now. We don't like it.
Jason
Oh.
Tatum is 7 days younger than me. Literally 7 days younger than me. Jason Tatum is. That is ridiculous. He has a kid. He's making 30 a year. Like, what kind of garbage is it?
Anyway, so these
I
guys are
wish I
kids.
was making 30 a year.
Just imagine the pressure they got to feel. Like, all right, cool, I'm going to college. All right, you know this reputation of the school. It's all on your shoulders. Oh, thanks, coach. Like these guys are
But
fairly
don't forget
young.
now that the NCAA is now allowing players to earn their own money. It's not like they really have.
It's about time. It's
Yeah,
about
about
time
time.
the NCAA is
so
done that.
much as much because it's not like this tournament could just prove to get like more endorsements, but like
Before they all become
Just
busts
like-
in the NBA.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Other than Chet Holmgren.
But honestly, I have to say like this tournament is probably going to turn out to be probably one of the hottest tournaments this season.
It's gonna be
Fans
fun.
Being back, the conferences all changing everything.
Yeah, I don't think college basketball's been in a better place than it has been in a
No,
long time.
the hype
Big-
is here.
I mean,
And they
the
don't have
Big
to
East is
compete with
finally
baseball this year.
back.
Like I'm a huge UConn fan, and seeing them in the top 25 this year has been like a blessing because
It's been a
long time.
We are finally back in the tournament.
Hey, Kemba Walker is back in spirit. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be fun. That was the last time they've been relevant. Yeah, but he was more relevant then. So he,
Kemba watching that game against Cincinnati, that bucket, that
No,
splash,
no.
that buzzer
The
beater.
best was I was watching it come down to when he was playing Pittsburgh in the Big East on that beautiful step back pop, just let it fly right over the bye-bye defender who broke his ankles. I mean, it was beautiful. I'm not even joking. I was what was that, 2011? I was
it's a long time ago.
like 13 or something like that. I remember I'm watching this game, and I looked at my dad. I said, he's going to do it once they give him the ball. He steps back, pops it. I jumped up. I grabbed my basketball, went outside, and I literally practiced that shot for like so many hours. Dude, legendary.
So,
It's
so
legendary.
Austin and I are both from Connecticut, and we both love UConn, as you can tell.
Yep.
I just love UConn because it's the only relevant, or one of the only relevant Boston College teams, at least in basketball. So
Old Boston College.
yeah, sometimes. Okay,
Yeah,
moving into
nobody
the
likes
final, the final topic of what we've been debating today, and Kyle has
Let's
some
go.
dumb opinions, controversial opinions on this. So let me pull it up. So officially, they Fox College Football
Not
put out.
officially.
Okay, well, college football put out their essentially a graphic stating what would technically be the new SEC, and talking about how long till Oklahoma or Texas won a title. So this sparked debate in our group chat this morning.
Because Kyle's got
so-
terrible takes.
Yes,
They're
true.
amazing
So
take. No, they're amazing.
let's let Kyle talk first and say his takes, and then let's just all just
Roast
crap
him.
on him for a little bit.
I'm
Yeah,
calling dibs first.
okay, go
All right,
for
one
it. So
second.
go, Kyle. Kyle, what do you
Okay.
think about the 10th best team in the whole of college football last year, Oklahoma?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma
To enlighten us.
is lucky they play in the third best NCAA football division. That's just SEC.
Not anymore.
Is a division. Well, first off, no, they don't. They will for the next three years. Was 2025 is when they start. So they don't join the SEC until 2025. So they still got 3 more years to prove it to me. They are top 4 in this conference, which they are not. They are not top 4 in this conference. I'll argue they can be top 10. I'll accept that they'll be top 10 in this conference. They're not. They don't play the same amount of talent that all the teams in the SEC play. They just don't. There is no equal competition where Oklahoma play. Texas isn't even. I don't even think Texas is close to that level. Oklahoma is way better than Texas is. I can go on and on about all these stats that I pulled from ESPN and how Oklahoma is. Well, excuse me, sir. That was rude. Oklahoma is a great school. They are a top 25 school in the country. Absolutely. Not denying that. But they are not top 4 in the SEC. Absolutely not. They're not. Would love to hear your guys' arguments that I would love to rebuttal, but they are not. They are not top 4.
All right. I'm going to start with that's the dumbest take I've heard out of your mouth to say Daniel Jones was good. I can argue that Oklahoma is the second best team on this list in this graphic right now.
Absolutely not.
Yes, absolutely. No. The only team that is better than them right now is Alabama. I'm not going to get caught up in recency bias that Georgia's won a national title. They're losing their entire defense, and they started a walk-on quarterback. So they're not good at QB, and their
Oklahoma also lost half their team. They also lost half their team, so.
I'm not done. For the last decade, who are the top 4 teams in college football, Kyle? Go ahead. Who are the top 4 teams in college football the last decade?
The last decade?
Yes.
Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame.
You got
Notre Dame?
You got 2 of them correct. Alabama's at 1.
Out of Notre Dame.
Alabama's at 1. Clemson's at 2. Ohio State's at 3. Oklahoma's at 4.
What stat are you using for this?
Wins, dude. Wins.
Look at who they play. Look at the talent. Look at the schools that Oklahoma has played versus the schools that Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State.
Kyle. College football playoffs has been going on 7 years. Oklahoma's made 4 of them. The last decade, Oklahoma is the 4th winningest football program in the entire country.
Again, look at
how are you going to tell me?
Okay, but how can you say Notre Dame? How can you say Notre Dame? They are literally in the independent system.
Notre Dame
play the easiest teams.
Notre Dame has played more top 25 ranked schools than Oklahoma has in the past decade.
You have that stat in front of you.
That is false.
Yeah.
Absolutely false. Now, going back, at the very least, you say Oklahoma is the 3rd best team on this list if you give into recency bias on Georgia. Oklahoma, going into the SEC, is going to be able to recruit better. They're already a powerhouse blue blood school. And honestly, I don't see them diminishing that fast without Lincoln Riley. They've got a good new head coach, and they're going to be just fine. If you want my opinion, in 2025, they're going to be playing Alabama in the SEC title game.
All right, let's look at this first off.
In 3 years, we will come back.
Since 2000, right? They've played 10 games in a bowl against the SEC teams. They beat Arkansas in 2002. They beat LSU. Or sorry, wait. No, they lost. Okay, they lost to LSU. They were number 1, and LSU was 2 in 2004. So a close game again. They lost to Florida as the 2nd-ranked team in 2009 by a close margin. Beat Texas A&M in 2013. They beat Alabama as the 10th ranked team at the time, and Alabama was 3rd in the Sugar Bowl in 2014, 45-31 over Alabama. Alabama was in a huge stretch of success in 2014, and they got destroyed there. Then they destroyed Auburn in 2017, 35-19. So they have clearly been able to play against some of the top SEC teams, even if you just go back 5 years, 6 years, maybe a few more. And the last decade, they have had enough wins against them. And then that's just in bowl games, big-time games. They've also played some SEC teams throughout that. Now, Kyle, I'm with you that I'd say that I think Georgia will be better at least or right at there with them. I think Alabama and Georgia, if you go back just the last 4 years, has been better than Oklahoma. But
LSU.
The fact that you are telling, LSU has been around there. But the fact that you said Ole Miss is better than Oklahoma shows me just how much you shouldn't be talking on this topic. Okay, let's get that real. Let's get that straight. Okay, Then on top of that, you also said Texas A&M has been ahead of them. Jimbo Fisher has done a decent job with them and gotten them, to some high rankings over the past few years, but he has done nothing close to making them a top 4 team nationally or even close in the SEC.
You say Texas A&M hasn't been a top 4 team ranked nationally? They were just ranked 4th last year.
Yeah, for how long? Is what I'm saying is he couldn't keep them there.
What do you mean? They finished top 4. They were top 10 all season long last year.
Top 10, not top 4.
I didn't say top. I said top 4. They didn't.
They finished top 4. They were top 4. Wait, let me get the stat before I wait.
But I'm saying, okay, go ahead. They didn't finish top 4. They weren't in the playoffs. So they didn't finish top 4.
Oh, because they finished top 5, but their ranking for most of the year was 4th.
Yeah, they were up there for a little while, but still, they weren't there most of the year, Kyle. But either way, that's 1 year, and we're talking about like over the past decade, over the past 5 years. So he's had one good season, but we got to see Texas A&M do it again next year. I think Texas A&M is usually a really good, can be a good school. I think they have the ability to recruit. But when you're talking Texas, who historically has been one of the biggest blue blood teams, colleges, like they're one of the huge founders of college football. It's Oklahoma, it's them, it's Notre Dame. So like those blue bloods, they're the ones that stay at the top usually. Now, unfortunately, Texas has been down bad for a while, for 10 years now, where they've been up and down, haven't been able to find like the right coach to keep them at the top, being able to compete with Alabama, which is hard to do. I understand that because you have Nick Saban, but when we're talking the last 5 years, Kyle, I cannot believe you put Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Oh, sorry, I forgot. You said South Carolina. They haven't been relevant in 5 years, really.
I have some questions. I just looked up. I just looked up the AP Top 25 poll to end last year. I can't find Texas A&M anywhere near this list. By the way, literally couldn't.
Wait. Last year in 2020, I'm looking at it right now.
Last year wasn't 2020. Last year was 2021.
I was talking about no.
Kyle, I'm looking at the list at the end of last year. Cincinnati.
I was talking about 2020.
Texas A&M hasn't been relevant since Johnny Manziel was at school.
True.
And I hadn't even get to mention the fact that Texas is going to.
It says Kellerman was drafted. That was last time Texas A&M was relevant.
Texas is going to be in the SEC. You want to know what Texas hasn't really done well in the recent years because the Big 12 is kind of just eh? They haven't been able to recruit in Texas.
Yep.
A lot of the best football players in college football come from the state of Texas. And if I'm the Texas head coach, I'm pointing right at the fact that I play in the SEC and they're going to play the best competition and have a shot at national titles every year. All of a sudden, Texas recruiting is going to bump up, and they're going to be a really good football team again. Kyle, you're just wrong.
Same with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's right next to Texas, man. They're going to be close to home, but just far enough away.
Fantastic to watch every year now.
In 3 years, if I'm wrong, I will own it. But until then, I'm sticking by my statement.
Man.
In 3 years, I will own it. I will say right here, do whatever crazy, stupid thing you want me to do. I will do it if I'm wrong. But until I'm wrong.
Oklahoma, I got to see what their schedule is next year.
I'm looking at it, dude.
I'm talking about in the SEC. In the SEC is what I'm talking about.
There's such a top 4 on this list, like next year, that like it blows my mind. It literally is Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Oklahoma. Like it's them and then it's everyone else like tier 2. Like, and it's not even close to me. Like in a few years, maybe different with Texas and whatnot. Hopefully they can pull it together. But like Vanderbilt and South Carolina and Ole Miss, like all these teams are like second fiddle to these top 4 teams who are literally in the fighting for the championship every year. I don't watch a ton of college football, but I know who is on Alabama, who's on Georgia, who's on LSU, and who's on Oklahoma, as well as Ohio State. You can throw Notre Dame in there. This year, Cincinnati was huge. Like I know those big schools, and Oklahoma is sure as heck one of them. And I don't care what their division is, but they are fighting for championships almost every year. And this year's going to be rough. I know Jake said Lincoln Riley won't make that big of a difference. I'm sure it'll make a little bit of a difference. But losing their quarterback also sucks. So it's going to be a little rough for a year. But by the time this happens, they are very well going to be fighting for a championship if they aren't in the next 2 years.
I'll
Kyle-
be ready for if that
Kyle,
happens.
if they get back to the playoff next year and they beat an SEC team, you better own it next year.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
But definitely in 3 years, you're gonna be eating it.
Well, coming off that heated topic, probably most heated so far, at least on here.
Kyle, keep bringing them. I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, we
Well,
have
that's
anything else anyone wanted to bring up? I know there's some stuff Kyle had brought up, possibly talking about. We do have a couple minutes to finish this up here. Anything that anyone wants to bring up as some kind of bow tie to this episode?
I mean, I feel like so Oklahoma is moving to the SEC, and I'm guessing SEC is like the top division in college football. So now Oklahoma, at least from I don't watch a lot of college football, and I see a lot of Oklahoma doing very well. And even though they're in a tougher division, because they're in such a pointed the pinnacle of like this is the ultimate division in college football. Yeah, it was mentioned before, like recruitment opportunities. I don't know. There's a lot of talent in the United States, and I think now with Oklahoma even in a bigger division, that gives them a chance to hopefully find some better talent for their team. But it's okay, Kyle. We're used to you talking out of your rear. We love you no matter what. But just remember,
You guys
we all
picked
have-
Daniel Jones.
yeah, you
Yeah, I'm
picked
so
Daniel
fine.
Jones. You were a Flyers fan, Kyle. I
We're
think
Are
we're
you
We're
still a
far-
Brady fan?
absolutely Gritty's the best mascot in the world.
oh,
Screw
He
just
is
the
pretty good.
oh my
Screw
god.
just the NHL. He's the best mascot in the world. No one will ever top Gritty.
Oh,
Ah.
that's
The
great.
Philly Fanatic's kind of dope though, low key. So
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the
but Brady's
Bulls
better.
mascot's name?
oh, he's funny too.
Benny.
He's great.
Benny.
Benny,
the
that's right,
Bull.
Benny.
That dude's a
I wanted to
legend.
say Billy. I was like, no, it's not that. But
I mean, we're
Benny's
used to
good.
this.
Gritty
when
is
college
still
football
better.
comes. Kyle, I'm just gonna say to you, good luck. Rob Parker said Brady wasn't going to another Super Bowl, and he hit in Mexico. So you do have options to hide somewhere. If you
yeah, yep.
All
But
right.
do not worry. I'm sure if you switch back to becoming a Patriots fan, I think we'll forgive you for everything you've said.
No,
Well, no, mostly.
No.
no,
No,
I'll forgive you, Kyle. If that means
you don't
anything.
get to be a Pats fan again.
no, never
I don't
again.
want to be a Pats.
No,
Especially
good, we
now
don't
since
want
he has
ya.
a Saquon Barkley jersey hanging up behind him.
Kyle, stop hanging
Absolutely.
trash in your room.
Oh,
Oh,
Get
Gotcha.
some real merch. Get some real merch here.
Ooh, no, I'm with him on that one. Yeah.
Wow, there's trash on your head now,
no,
Kyle.
No,
man, look at
no.
the garbage.
Okay.
Garbage on his
All
head.
right, so
So
we got to wrap that up. You want to take it home, or
yes,
Nick,
there's one more thing Kyle did want to briefly mention. I'm gonna let him talk about it. We won't really debate it or anything, but there is something we want to talk about related to some stuff going on in the world and in hockey
yes.
specifically. So we'll let him mention it, then we'll wrap it up.
So yeah, I'm sure unless you guys live under a rock, you guys know what's going on around the world right now. I just want to kind of congratulate Ukrainian sports athletes who have given up their time from playing sports to go fight in Ukraine from all different sports, and the solidarity the athletes have given the Ukrainian people in general. I think that's really noble. So I just wanted to give you a big shout out on this kind of platform where you guys deserve it. You guys definitely deserve that shout out. So
Awesome. And I know we all agree on the same sentiment. It's been it's crazy stuff we got going on, but honestly, it's a crazy world. But luckily, we have the ability to do stuff like this on a weekly basis and just talk sports. So
Thanks
You
for
know,
over
pr-
100
prayers-
views in 1 week.
yeah, 100 views on the first video. That was super exciting for us to see. We're already up over in double digits on subscribers, so that's awesome as well. And we appreciate everyone for taking
Spread
time
the
to
word
listen.
to your friends.
Yes, thank you. We greatly appreciate everyone taking the time to listen here. So we do hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We will see you next week. If not next week, we have March Madness coming up pretty soon. So everyone have a good week. Bye.
Still waiting on that sponsorship, Nutella. I'm waiting for you.